What is going on, you guys? So I did that video yesterday, or if you're here in the moment, 5 minutes ago, and it ran a little long, so I couldn't really show what I had picked up over the past week. So instead of making a 30-minute video, I just cut the camera and picked it up right now. So we'll go into some pickups. I'm not going to turn it around and all that stuff. There's a guy that's been submitting his autograph cards through me named Lance North, and he's been submitting them for, oh man, 5, maybe 6 years. And I always thought Lance was a super cool dude. He always sent in some really unique and cool stuff. And when we moved up here to the Fort Worth area, we moved to the town that Lance lived in. So now he just swings by and drops his stuff off. Or if I'm out and about and his cards come in, I'll just drop his stuff off at his house, which is kind of cool. But he dropped off some cards that he wanted to send in for the March autograph submission. And he was like, here, I got you a gift. And thought these were super cool, man. I didn't have any of these. I don't normally have a lot of base cards in the past, but with me looking for a new way to collect, I very well might, because I now have a shoebox in the closet of Yordan Alvarez and Jose Altuve. So what I have been doing with base cards that come in is just been putting them in penny sleeves and just putting them in the box, you know, kind of like collecting when I was a kid. But Lance also gave me this 2020 Bowman Chrome Rookie of the Year Favorites Yordan Alvarez refractor in a tin, which I know the glare is bad and I apologize. But thank you very much, Lance. Very, very cool of you to do that, and I greatly appreciate it. So, moving on. If you followed me for a while, you know I go through different trends where I send a bunch of TTMs. I don't hardly send anything out. I'll come up with a new project. I will say I'm getting out of it. I'm all over the place. That's just kind of how I am in life as well. But what always gets me back into it when I'm out of it is a project idea. And I don't go thinking for these project ideas. They literally just cross my mind. I tell my wife all the time, I wish you knew how exhausting it was to have my mind, because it does not stop. There's nights I lay down in bed and I could be thinking about anything. I could be thinking about a conversation I had with a friend or coworker or a guy that works for me a week ago, and just drives me nuts. So I was sitting here the other day and I just thought of this idea, and I absolutely love it. So I started buying pocket schedules for teams that either did something significant in the sport, or, you know, is significant to me. Maybe I watch that team a lot, and even if that team that year has a bunch of players that actively sign TTM. I thought it'd be super cool. So I've sent one off already to Dan Fouts, and I forget the year, but I do remember I did pick whatever year it was specifically because it had Charlie Joyner was on the team that year, and Kellen Winslow. So that's going to be my goal with that one, is to get it back from Fouts and then send it to the other two. And then you kind of have 3 Hall of Famers on a pocket schedule, which pocket schedules aren't worth crap. I mean, they're not worth diddly dog crap. And I don't know, it's just super cool working multi-signed items. But that's the history of why I did that. So I picked up this 1995 Atlanta Braves schedule. So I always talk about what a big Astros fan I am, and I have been since I was a little kid. But in the mid-90s, I feel like everyone was Braves fans, at least kids. Man, I love the Braves, and I didn't go to a ton of baseball games back then. My dad wasn't a big like baseball guy or anything like that, but he did take me to one game a year for a couple years in a row there, and it was when the Braves came to town. And at the time, Dave Justice was my favorite player, and that '95 Braves team, man alive, they have some really cool players on that team, and not really the Hall of Famers, but a lot of the non-Hall of Famers do sign TTM. So I thought that would be kind of cool. This 1980 Houston Oilers, dude, look at that freaking picture of Bum Phillips. I think that is so cool, man. That is so awesome. And then I picked up an '88 Houston Oilers. Then another thing when I was looking through these on what pocket schedules to pick up is some of them there'll be a player on it that's so prominent, like boom, like a baseball card. It's like, well, I don't want to get multi guys to sign a pocket schedule like that because it looks like it's only for that guy. So I had to make sure it kind of had multi people. Bum's Bum. He's the coach. So I wasn't worried about that one. And I needed him to be a lighter color, so a black Sharpie or a blue Sharpie would show up. So it was kind of difficult. There were some years that I wanted to get, and I couldn't because they were very, very dark. And I'll show off this next one, and this is one I'm just going to send to one guy and be done with. And that's the 1991 Chicago Cubs. It has Ryan Sandberg on it right here. So, and I just think these things are so cool, man. 1988. I think I just showed this. Moving on to some Astros ones. The 1982, this is the year I was born. You can get Nolan Ryan on this thing. Mike Scott, I believe, signs through Pass Pros. And a lot of these dudes are still alive. Not a ton of them sign TTM. I know Jose Cruz Sr. does. So this one's really cool. And another thing I thought was really cool about getting these signed, yeah, you might want to get like the bigger name guys, on the front. But let's say years down the road, the Astros have a 80s reunion event or something. Well, you can open these things up and you can get, there's more space for these dudes to sign. Once again, it's really never going to be worth anything. It's more of a sentimental project. But once again, I'm a babbling idiot. I think it's just really cool and unique and different. 1988 Astros. And then this year, this one wasn't the best because the players that are on it, but this particular year meant a ton to me. I went to a ton of Astros games, and I was at the game right before this. This is a super iconic picture for Astros fans. Biggio Bagwell, and then that is Mike Hampton, the Bulldog, right there. So that's that for those schedules. Some of you may know or may not know, I do watch and enjoy the WNBA. That stems from about 3 or 4 years ago when I was on deployment. For a span of about a week, we only got one channel on the ship because where we were in the world, you just didn't get a lot of channels. And I would go to the gym every day at the same time, and for a week, every time I went in the gym, all they had on was the WNBA playoffs. And I started watching. I'm like, man, dude, these girls are very competitive. And I just really got into it. And so I like picking up some stuff from time to time. But this is Dejanay Carrington. This is called a Black Velocity. Number 2, what is it, 39? Yeah, 39. And then I don't know if she was traded or signed with, but she recently was acquired by the Dallas Wings, which was now, with me living here now, is my local WNBA team. And she was already I would say one of my top 5 players already. I would equate her to like an early Russell Westbrook. You know what I mean? Just a freaking baller. Very tough competitor. So really like her game. Found that card. It's relatively cheap and thought I'd pick it up. Bought this from Phil, Motown Sports. If you aren't subscribed to him, he only releases 2 videos a month. One TTM recap, one certified autograph recap. One's with his daughter, one's with his son. You can get a ton of great TTM ideas from him. I know I do. I love watching Phil's videos. Got in some Ryan Sandbergs this week for the player error run of him. I'm getting very close to being done with him. I think I'm about 2 or 3 short. And then I have about another 5 like all-star cards and such to get signed. But this is the 1987. I really should start turning this camera around. The glare is horrendous. A 1996. Did I say 87 or 97? I meant 87. You can't even see the autograph on that. The autograph or the glare's so bad. 91. So those were the Ryans that came in, and then I got in some Dennis Eckersley's. What is this? A 91, 92? No, 91, 93. So this one I think is super cool. I'll take this one out. He signed it the full length of the card, and there's no breaks in his signature, which is very rare for his TTM signature. And I'll show you what I mean on this one. Like super chatty Cathy this morning. You see at the top of the, you see where the top of the D right there on Dennis, how it's broke, you know, and on this one it's full. Well, most of his TTM signatures are like this, where there's multiple breaks. Either it'll be in the D or whatever this letter is in his signature, it might be there, and sometimes it's both. But in this one, they're both, you know, full. And you just don't see a lot of these. So I thought it was super cool. And I thought it was cool. It's the full length of the card there. So I got in that 2 for $20. And then I got in a cool Greg Maddux card. Greg Maddux is one of the players, one of the, 7 players that I'm working on right now. And this card isn't a player era card. Well, it is a player era card, but it's not part of the Topps run that I would be working on. This is the 1993 score, and I never had seen this card. And I got it on auction for 17 bucks. It's in a PSA 10. I will say it looks nothing like Greg Maddux at all. But very cool. This is a card that I would have thought for sure I would have seen as a kid. I actually have never seen any of these. And since I've went and seen, there's a Griffey, Barry Bonds, Andy Van Slyke. There's a bunch of different guys. But really cool. Amazing condition card for very cheap. So that's that. Sorry for rambling so long. Till next week or next time. Adios. Be safe. Bye-bye. Doodles.